The majority of parents think their children will open up to them on their mental health struggles. But a poll of some 200 youths and parents by mental health charity Resilience Collective has found that only 1 in 5 would do so. Most would instead opt to seek professional help without their parents' knowledge. These are the key highlights brought up by a panel of mental health experts at a youth mental resilience discussion this afternoon. And for a closer look on this, we're joined by Tasneem Abdul Majeed, youth peer at the Resilience Collective, and Leanne Robers, a psychotherapist. Thank you both for joining us. Leanne, I'll come to you first. Why do young people prefer their parents to broach the subject first?
Well, right now, our youth are feeling anxious, they're feeling fearful, they're scared, they're overwhelmed. Many of them have self-doubt and find it really difficult to accept themselves. All in all, our youth are struggling. And when they're feeling so bad already on the inside, it's really hard for them to then open up and go to their parents and approach this very big topic. And they're always thinking, are my parents going to feel differently about me? Are they going to worry incessantly? Are they going to dismiss me? Will they try to fix things and problem solve and not really listen to what I say? For parents, I think that first and probably most importantly is that we need to be able to provide a safe place to our children. If you see your kid struggling, anxious, retreating, or in distress, ask them how they're doing and just listen. Don't jump to conclusions or try to problem solve. Come from a place of understanding, even if it means repeating what they've said. So, for
Tasneem,
example,
let's come to you now. We understand.
Sorry,
Tasneem,
so if it even
let's get to Tasneem now. Yeah, so Tasneem, we understand that you used to struggle with anxiety issues and with panic attacks as well. What were some of the signs that rang alarm bells for you, and how are you coping now?
Thank you, Ms. Dawn, for that question. I would say it started off small when I was 16. It started out with physiological symptoms, which were actually physical manifestations of high levels of anxiety, but I wasn't aware back then at 16. It was the year I took my A-levels back in 2016. My immunity was low, my stress levels were high. I was sick very often. I had to take MC and I missed a lot of school and my grades suffered as a result. And while I was in class, I had difficulties concentrating because I'll consistently be on edge. I would be like hitting my leg against the chair. I'll be dealing with all these negative dysfunctional thoughts in my head. And I think when it got to JC was when everything kind of went downhill and spiraled out of control. When I was in JC, I would swing between being completely exhausted and totally unmotivated and just being completely on edge, being jittery, fidgety, just being unable to concentrate at all in class. And I would cry a lot, both at home and in school. And my mood was low. And I had no motivation to carry out activities that I used to find joy in. And I think that's when the alarm bells rang for the first time. But I think it really took me having a panic attack when I was 17 during an examination for me to reach out and seek help from my counselor.
Well, thank you for being so open with us, Tasneem. Can I ask, who did you turn to for help when this happened to you, and why do you think it's challenging for young people to have conversations surrounding mental health at home?
Thank you, sir. I would say the first person, actually, someone reached out to me. I was lucky enough. My form teacher and the head of welfare at my junior college, my JC, actually reached out to me the day after I had my panic attack in the exam hall. And both women approached the situation with so much compassion and the lack of judgment. And they actually were very proactive in asking me how they could support me, which I was very touched by. And they followed up with a referral to the school counselor, who eventually communicated the news to my father and carried on exchanging information with him, which was quite effective. And I think the reason why youth struggle with speaking to their parents about their mental health, there are 3 big reasons. Number one, young people are actually a lot more considerate and self-aware than most people give them credit for. And a lot of the fellow mental health warriors I have interacted with and spoken to expressed to me that they were afraid of burdening their parents with their problems, especially knowing that their parents are struggling with work and other familial concerns and issues. My parents are actually not just my parents, but a parent to a special needs child, my younger brother, who is on the severe end of the autism spectrum. And they deal with a whole other set of challenges being a parent to a special needs child. And because of that, I was withholding all my issues because I didn't want to add to the burden they were experiencing. And number two, sometimes parents can be a source of stress or a stressor that could exacerbate the situation, which is why young people choose not to have that conversation, as the minute they express that their parents are actually the one exacerbating the distress or the frustration or the anger, it might result in a lot of hostility and frustration, which may exacerbate whatever distress the young person is feeling. And number three, perhaps in some cases, the young person is aware that they may not get the response they're looking for, particularly a response that is not as sensitive to their needs or not as helpful or appropriate to their, based on their situation. And especially in Singapore society, where we're a culture that values problem solving from a very logical standpoint, some parents who are more traditional in nature may choose to adopt a very cognitive approach to problem solving. So that means just quickly having a one-size-fits-all mindset and thinking, okay, if I adopt solution number 1 to 5, it'll be all over and done, and it's a one-size-fits-all. I'll just need to maybe adopt all these quick strategies and it will all be over. But that's not true. Mental health is a process. Healing is a process. It takes time, and different techniques work for different individuals. And that is mainly the reasons as to why youths are afraid to speak to their parents about their mental health. Thank you.
Leanne, the incident at the River Valley High School threw the issue of mental health into the spotlight and became so much more a part of the conversation in society. The Education Minister talked about enhancing the support network in schools. What areas, as far as that is concerned, do you feel our schools need to perhaps do better in?
Well, I can't really comment on the incident specifically, but we teach in school and we emphasize subjects such as math, science, geography, history. But what we need to be able to emphasize more is on mental health awareness and helping children and youth develop emotional resiliency and also emotional literacy. We need to be able to help them know that it's not just our cognitions that are important, our emotions are equally important. And the other thing is we need to care for our teachers. Just as we think of the analogy of like in an airplane, you put on an oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it onto a child or onto somebody else that's in need. We need to do the same for our teachers. Our teachers are struggling, and we need to be able to help them and provide them the emotional and the mental health support that they need, so they in turn can be able to provide that support to our youths and our kids.
Oh, thank you both for speaking to us so candidly this evening. We've been speaking with psychotherapist Leanne Robers and Tasneem Abdul Majeed from the Resilience Collective.